This episode is brought to you by Carrasco Cantina, a local real estate firm located in the state of New Jersey. They're here to help you with all your real estate needs. What's going on? Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Jimmy, your favorite mortgage lender. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about homeowners insurance in 2026. I have a special guest with me here, Ashan Naz. He is a broker, and he's going to go through what steps and what he sees happening now when it comes to insurance. Ashan, welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Thank you, Jimmy. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, brother.
Hey, man, you are the hardest working guy, man.
You have to be if you want to succeed.
Extremely proud of you, man.
Of course.
It's incredible. The only time I've seen you sit is when you're doing the show. I have not seen you sit at all any other time. So, really proud of you, man.
I love what I do.
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
what I do.
Yeah, that's what it's about. You
Yeah,
clearly
man.
do. So it keeps you going.
Yeah. So, Ashan, let's just jump right into it, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with insurance in 2026, man? It's expensive.
The first point I feel like we kind of really have to bring up is that, man, the insurance companies have been doing a great job thus far, right?
Okay.
That was part of how I got into insurance.
Right.
I saw my parents file homeowners insurance claims and they got paid, and where their rates were. And I was looking at it, I was like, wow, man, it's really God's work.
Right,
It's a miracle.
Right.
And now that the rates are kind of creeping up a little bit, there is reason behind it. We've had more claims. The homes are bigger. The cost of construction's going up.
Right.
All these things are associated with it, but the dream of home ownership and the affordability still is alive and well. There's probably some things that need to be taken into consideration in the buying process that probably people didn't have to worry about before.
Right.
But someone being able to get affordable insurance is still being seen in the market. I would just recommend every buyer, get home insurance quotes early on, speak to an insurance agent or insurance broker earlier on so that you're not seeing those rates when you're in contract.
Right.
You can see what the rate of the home insurance is going to be like well before you even put an offer in on the house.
Right.
And if you kind of understand what's where you're going to see higher rates,
Right.
because there is some rhyme and reason behind it.
Okay.
That's a great way to be able to plan some stability around the homeowners insurance cost, because you are seeing rates increase across the board,
Right.
but I'm still seeing great rates being offered, and it's just about being prepared and kind of knowing why.
I use the key word, know your rates before you get into that situation. Before you're going under contract, get a quote right away.
Yeah.
Let's not wait the day of or 24 hours before closing to come up and decide and then complain I'm not getting enough coverage, right? I'm sure you hear this all the time.
Yeah.
First of all, I think you read all my notes because you just answered all that questions in all within 3 minutes. You just answered all the questions. So what do I ask him? I don't know. You just keep it moving at this point, right? But to your point, right? I love what you said. Understand the process in the beginning.
Yes.
So you have those options.
Exactly.
So it makes sense depending on where you're buying and how much insurance you need, right? Because sometimes, in some cases, people don't get enough coverage for what they're buying. Can you go into that a little bit, man?
Yeah. The point I would say is even before you go see the house,
Right.
you can get an insurance quote on it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, even before you even go see the house.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So if you want to and it doesn't take too long.
Right.
It only takes a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes to see what the rate is on the house. And the insurance agent, we can kind of go into why it's costing like that. Even go over the coverages. Everyone, they know what they're looking for in a house.
Right.
They don't know what they're looking for in an insurance policy until they're in contract.
Right.
And I've done a lot of closings where, I gave quotes out before. They maybe didn't buy that house, maybe it came on later on, but they were just so much more prepared.
Right.
Managing
those expectations.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I love that because, to your point, again, I didn't even know you can do that. To go further. So especially if you're looking in particular towns, right? We live in the state of New Jersey.
Greatest state in the greatest country at the greatest time of the year.
Right.
It really is.
And you cover all of New Jersey. But the truth of the matter is, there are some areas that are prone to having water issues.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to know that up front because you have to get what's called flood insurance.
Yes, correct.
And flood insurance, there's a fee behind that. And for us mortgage advisors, we have to put that cost in part of your monthly mortgage payment, which makes up what we call debt to income ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to know those numbers before you understand how much of a house you can afford, because that's a determining factor on your buying power, right?
Correct.
Can you walk us through that with flood insurance and why in some cases sometimes you don't need it, but sometimes you should get it? That's important too, right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Definitely, yeah. And according to FEMA, right, every home is at risk of flooding.
Before you go into that, what is FEMA? Because people don't know.
Oh, yeah. So the Federal Emergency Management.
Right.
Right. So, hey, that's who's been saving everybody when it floods.
Okay. Right.
And they do a lot. It's in the crisis at the moment.
Okay.
And then even afterwards,
Right.
you know, they do a lot for homeowners. They do a lot for us. But the flood zones, right? That's the if the home is in a flood zone, that's not zone X. If it's in zone X, that means it's technically not at a flood risk.
Right.
But according to FEMA, you know, they give the trainings to insurance agents before we can write flood insurance.
Okay.
And that was one of the very first things they said, that, hey, you know, every home is at risk of being flooded.
Right.
Everyone really should be considering getting even if they're not in a flood zone. I know if it's in a flood zone, that's when the mortgage company requires you to have it.
Correct.
Right. But the point I wanted to make about that was, we've learned a lot over the named storms that we've had, right? We learned a lot from Ida, Sandy, Irene, Katrina. We've lived here. We've seen what happened.
Right.
The flood zones were created in 1970, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not much has kind of changed. They do remapping, but we're really those flood zones are based on what was done in 1970.
Right.
And with what we've seen happened, you know, I think it's time now that some sellers might get upset about hearing this, but if they're selling a home that's in a flood zone that has been hit with flooding in the past, they really need to consider bringing the price down, because that new buyer has to really pay for the flood insurance in that area. Now, and I do want to add, just the other day, I did a flood insurance quote for a 2-family home in Jersey City. And a quote with the National Flood Insurance Program was $586 a year.
Wow.
You know,
That's not
so
bad. That's not bad
there
at all.
still is affordable options.
Right.
If the flood rates are high, well, it's saying something about the house. If the taxes go up, if the mortgage rates go up, if the energy bills go up, prices of the house comes down.
Let's Talk About a Podcast is sponsored by Real Safe Title, servicing clients all across the state of New Jersey.
Right. And, you know, hey, they say work smarter, not harder.
Right.
We have actual experience in seeing what's happened. So if, you know, in those certain instances, if, you know, you're in a flood zone and you have to get flood insurance, and that's something the seller really needs to take into consideration for a reason to come down. And I have worked on closings in the past where the seller had a good flood insurance rate because they bought it years ago, and now the rate has just gone up so high, and you know the house was on the market for almost a year, right? Not knowing why, why they can't sell. Well, that was the reason, and I spoke to the listing agent, and they took that into consideration, and they worked with the buyer. You know, sometimes it's a gap of communication about knowing, but that would I tell everybody, like, if the flood insurance rate's high when you're looking to purchase, well, it's probably going to be high for everybody.
Right.
And that's a great time to go back and try to
negotiate on the purchase price, right? And I would add to this too, and flood insurance. So not as if like you wake up, you know where to go, which company to go to when it comes to flood insurance, right? Clearly, you're going to have the tools because they're going to speak to you about that.
Yep.
However, in most cases, you can assume the person's flood insurance, right? Especially if they have a good track record. That's something we don't like, we look at it and we're like, all right, cool, you're saving this much money. As for lenders, we're happy about that because we know the same policies in place. There's no surprises, right?
Yeah.
Because at times, sometimes people are like, well, I don't trust this, I don't want to do this. Someone told me this, and they come back with a different number, not knowing
That,
that you,
correct.
if you didn't assume, like, it would be cheaper on the assumption from the time you had that conversation, as opposed to shopping around trying to get something different.
Correct.
So, and that's
yeah.
key when it comes to
yeah.
flood
And
insurance.
I tell listing agents
Right.
that, like, listen, if they got a great flood insurance rate,
Right.
make sure you let the
Yeah,
new buyers
right,
know.
right.
Because if that could be in that, sometimes it can be transferred in
Right.
to the new buyer's name. If the new market is only showing higher rates, that's definitely something that can help save the deal.
I would put that in a listing.
Yeah.
I would even go further and put it in a listing because, again, if someone is paying attention, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Right, especially over the course of paying for this. And like to
100%.
your point, what you said, it goes higher too in some cases, right? So
Yeah.
if you can start at a low number.
Yeah. And if I can add to that point,
Sure, let's go.
like there was one property I was helping the listing agent on.
Right.
Is that, a lot of people don't know about an elevation certificate.
Okay.
Have you?
I'm not familiar with the elevation.
So
certificate.
an elevation certificate, if a home's in a flood zone,
Right.
you can have a land surveyor come in. They only need 30 minutes on the property, and they do need to go into the basement
Right.
to complete the work. And within like maybe a week or two, they'll have an elevation certificate completed.
Right.
Now that elevation certificate can be used to file a LOMA with FEMA,
Okay.
which is a letter of map amendment.
Letter of map amendment. Okay.
And depending on what's on that elevation certificate after it's been completed,
Right.
may be able to get that home out of a flood zone,
Oh.
right?
Okay.
So for any seller
Mm-hmm.
that's selling their home and they're in a flood zone,
Right.
make sure you at least look into that.
Right.
Because what does that do on the resale on the home,
Yeah.
right?
You have a disadvantage at that.
Yeah, and when a mortgage company requires flood insurance,
Yep.
right? And again, I would still recommend everybody to buy flood insurance.
Right.
But when it's required by the lender, you have to get $250,000.
Right.
The average flood cost, I think, is like $47,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can get any limit from $50,000 up.
Right.
So even that can dramatically bring down the cost. You could still have flood insurance coverage
Right.
without and still be and also not to mention that elevation certificate is also going to give you a discounted price on that. So I mean, how many thousands of dollars can be saved? And sometimes people are listing in a flood zone and they never even looked into that, right? That's something I would highly recommend. Listing agents, talk to your sellers about that. You can reach out to me. I can kind of guide you through it but definitely something that they should look into.
Well, all this information is on Let's Talk About It.
Yeah.
Right? This is all about. So to your point, and I want to ask you this question because you're mentioning the cost and the amount of coverage you need. Can you break this down a little bit, or what's the difference? Cash value versus replacement cost average? I mean, that part of the process, right? Because that comes up a lot. Like, why is the replacement more than the cash, right? Can you walk
Great.
us through
Absolutely.
that a
And
little
I'll
bit?
use an example as a car, right? Because
Right.
if the car is older, is depreciated in value,
Right.
right? But if you needed to go back and repurchase that same car from the dealer, well, it's more expensive now. So the actual cash value is what is the value of that home after it's depreciated, after the wear and tear on the home, right? A 25-year-old roof, right? Only maybe has 5 years left on it.
Right.
So what's the remaining lifespan? What's the worth of that home on the remaining lifespan of the house?
You mean the house that has charm? The house that has charm?
No comment. Jimmy.
Hey, it's a little bit fun too. You gotta have a little fun with that, right?
You have to.
Yeah, but to your point, right? That's the difference, right? There's certain things that it may cost more to replace, or
Exactly.
it's not sufficient
Yeah.
value behind it, right?
To kind of add to that point, like
Right.
a lot of times people think, hey, my home is selling the list price. This is what I'm purchasing it for.
Right.
Insurance is not for the sales price of the house, because you're not just buying the house, you're
Right.
buying the neighborhood,
Right.
You're buying the curb appeal. The insurance is for the reconstruction value of the house,
Okay,
right?
right.
And some homes that, you know, are in really happening areas,
Right.
right? The home is selling for way higher than what it even costs to build it,
Right.
right? And then there's also cases where maybe a home, the cost of the construction of the house is much higher than what it's selling for,
Right.
right? But the insurance is based on the reconstruction. That's what the insurance company is doing. That they're ensuring that you can rebuild the home so that you can go ahead and sell it. So that's why people shouldn't worry so much
Right.
when they see a difference under the, hey, I bought the house for $1 million,
Right.
but they're saying it's 700,000 to is
The
the
cost
insur-
replacement, right,
Yeah,
right,
is,
right.
is the cost of replacing it.
Right.
But that's to make it, when you see replacement cost on there, that's to make it as you know, make it brand new and what the cost would be to make it brand new.
That's important knowledge to know, guys. I
Yeah.
promise you, because I get this question all the time. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to trip up the conversation or use a word that may not make sense in that conversation. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, call Ashan, man. Let him,
Yeah,
figure, that,
yeah, yeah,
let,
yeah,
let him figure
absolutely.
that stuff out, man. Let
Yeah.
him break it down to you, because
Yeah.
this is what he does. And this is, and maybe he, again, not maybe, he will articulate it in a way where
Yeah.
you're comfortable with the decision you're making, because there's a fee behind
Yeah,
that, right?
And
Right,
I'll
to
give you
co-
another
for
example
proper
on that
coverage.
replacement cost, right?
Right.
And this happened to an actual customer, one of mine. She had one of the her pipes. She had a leak, right? So it was right behind the kitchen cabinets, and when it was only on a portion, it was only a couple cabinets.
Did they make it an access point for them to get into?
Well, so the contractor did that. Yeah,
Okay, right.
She took the cabinets apart,
Right.
and there was only maybe 3 or 4 cabinets that were affected by it.
Okay.
But when they went back to Lowe's, that cabinet was discontinued, right?
Ew.
So the replacement cost endorsement she had on her policy allowed her to get the entire kitchen cabinet, because you can't have
Right,
two
you-
different
right,
kitchen
right,
cabinets,
right,
right?
right.
So that's how that replacement cost endorsement is a huge benefit, because at actual cash value,
Right.
they would have only given
Just that
just
portion.
that portion.
Right, but
Now you're gonna have 2 different cabinets, and how does that affect? You know, so
That's what proper coverage means.
yeah.
Right, that part.
Uh-huh.
So let me ask you a question. What do you mean by 2.0 buyers? You've been
Yeah.
talking about that on your social
Yeah,
platforms.
2.0 buyers market.
Yeah.
2.0 buyers market. You know, there's sellers market, there's
Right.
buyers market. But what's different now, where I'm encouraging people is the same way buyers would ask, hey, I want to see the energy bills. I want
Right.
to see how much the cost of electricity is, gas is,
Right.
on the home, right? I'm encouraging people, hey, because we're entering this new insurance territory where you're starting to see different rates so
Right.
much, kind of going back to that point, ask, hey, what are you currently paying for home insurance,
Right.
right? Have there been any claims on the property, right? And they can ask for something that's called a loss runs report, which shows their
loss runs report.
loss runs report.
Okay.
So that shows if the home has had any claims on that property, what they were, what the amounts were, so that whether it's a home policy or even a flood policy, right? Because this is one of the questions people ask all the time when they're
Right.
buying. Hey, has it flooded before?
Right.
Well, that kind of gives you insight. And if you're a seller and you haven't had any claims, if you really want your property to stand out, you should be eager to show
Right.
this.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
It's more attractive.
more attractive,
Right.
and it shows right down. And the other reason I think it's important for that to come, because the sellers might be paying much less on the insurance than the new buyer is, right? Or might be able to find, and that's a great way for them just to kind of get right to the nitty gritty of what's going on, right?
Okay.
Because if the seller was paying drastically less for the insurance,
Right.
then the new buyer has to. And not to mention, hey, the seller's done a lot of work for you already.
Yes,
Because,
yeah, right.
right?
I'm trying to gather to it. Right. It's
That
more
seller
right.
might have already gotten a quote from every insurance company.
Right.
Right?
Especially when they're putting that much money into it to sell the house. They want to make sure they
Exactly.
give you as much as you can when they're delivering that, right? Because there's a lot that went into it.
Exactly. Yeah. So and it will save everybody time.
Right,
Right.
right,
And that, like, hey, that seller probably really made sure they were paying the least amount for insurance. And if there's a gap, now you already know how to address it, because I'm sure even the seller will understand at that point, well, oh, okay, they're going to have to pay more.
Right.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't mind paying more if I know you've completed everything. And you got the proper insurance, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
like
That the home hasn't had any issues or,
right.
it'll just elaborate.
At that point, if you're nickel and diamond, no offense, I don't think you should enter this arena, right? Because you have not seen nothing yet. And when it comes to insurance, look, I have my issues because sometimes something happens and then you see, appreciation on that insurance goes up drastically. It's concerning. I understand. But again, this is why you talk to Ashan, shop around, try to get a different quote so you can get back into paying what you consider normal with the proper insurance. You need insurance. Like, you just need it. Like, I don't want to tell you something and you're like, well, I'm thinking about it. You just need insurance. And yes, do some take the risk buying a property without insurance or letting it lapse? Yes, they do. Is that considered a risk? Yes, it is. But I feel comfortable, and Assan feels comfortable knowing that if you have that security over something that you spent so much to get to buy and hold on to, why would you not make sure you have the proper insurance, right?
100%.
Again, I can't stress it enough, guys. I know it's part of your monthly. At times it can get crazy, but you need insurance. Like, God forbid something does happen, you want to make sure, especially when you have a family, that you're protected. And it's just one of those things. Like, there's no excuses why you don't have insurance. But if you're, in some cases, right? Because I'm from that world where sometimes you're just making ends meet. I get it, but if you can sacrifice someplace else just to make sure you have insurance, I think you should.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the analogy, like, hey, the insurance has been the backbone of our economy, right? If we had not had insurance thus far, right? Well, every time something happened, and we've all seen claims getting paid, right? Everyone's seen it. You can't say insurance doesn't exist. Everyone has been benefiting from claims getting paid. It really is the backbone. I say real estate is the heartbeat of the economy. Insurance really is the backbone. So, no, thank you.
Of course.
Made that point.
So let me ask you a question. This is, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but you have an opinion on it. You're saying new construction homes are underpriced. Tap into that, brother.
Yeah. So I'm going to use the car analogy again, right?
Okay.
Now, if you buy a brand new car, you don't have to worry about the brakes or any kind of major repairs or anything like coming through. You see monthly payment, you got your oil change coming up and you got nothing to worry about, right? But when you buy that old car, right? How often have you heard, like, right away, you had all these major repair expenses coming in, and a lot of buyers do not realize the cost that they might be occurring because they don't know what's about to happen, right? That's part of it. Especially with the cost of construction going up, the plumbing,
right?
A lot of homes, the plumbing needs to be redone. When I say new constructions and fully gutted homes are underpriced, is because they don't realize how much has taken place to redo all that, and the cost of builder's risk, the cost of vacant renovation insurance has really gone up pretty dramatically, right? And they did all that for you. Now, you can live in a brand new construction home 10, 15 years, not probably have to worry about anything to do, and you can resell it, and the next buyer can also benefit for a little while, right? Before they got to pay for any of those kind of major repairs or expenses that might be incurring.
So let me ask you this question. You make the case for new construction.
Yeah.
Now, someone's asking, what if you get a new construction and the general contractor puts the cheapest material, the cheapest way to build a house, knowing that it may not last for a couple of years? What do you say to those who would say something like that?
Just like though you check the reviews of everything else, right? The same way you check the reviews of everything else, the reputation. Hey, I will say today, right? Probably the greatest home builders and the greatest flippers are alive
Right.
building
That's true.
and flipping today.
Right.
Right. Actually, I was looking at, me and you have 145 mutual
Right.
contacts, right?
Right.
One of our mutual contacts is K. Havnanian.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I lived in 2 K. Havnanian developments. I lived in the condos in North Brunswick,
Right.
and I also lived in a single family development in Columbus, New Jersey. And by the time I had bought and moved in there, the homes were already 25 years old.
Right.
And I will say, great builder.
Right.
Built a place that lasted,
Right.
good quality.
Right.
Right. Yeah, 100%. You're right. There are some people
Right.
cheaping, taking shortcuts. But the same way you would check those reviews, check the quality of the builders,
Right.
man, there's some really amazing builders, amazing flippers showcasing their work
Right.
that have been up. That's the same way I would tell people, you got to do your homework. But that's part of it, because you also want to factor in, if you had to file an insurance claim, right? Two claims within 3 years, right, triggers a rate increase alone. And sometimes 2 water claims is a reason that insurance company might non-renew you or cancel you.
Right.
And what I'm seeing on the insurance rates is dramatic.
Wow.
Right. So if you can get a new construction, reputable builder, that you did your homework, that you did
Right.
everything that you could to make sure you're not going to have claims, right? That's really going to benefit you over the long. You're not even going to be able to see the savings, but
Right.
and hey, the real estate professionals, talk to your realtor, talk to your lender. They do give great advice.
Right.
I say this all the time. Ask not what your realtor can do for you.
Right.
Ask what you can do for your realtor, because they really are not getting enough credit
Right.
for how hard they are working.
Yeah, it's just one of those underlining things, right? One does something,
Yeah.
stupid, right? I don't want to be political right there, but they do stupid shit, and then some will just paintbrush the entire industry.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
The hard work that goes into it, and the partners that you have at Lifestyle, right? Chris Dugall.
Yeah. I thank the
George.
good Lord for making me a lifestyle international real
Right.
estate agent.
Chris, George, good people that I know. So it's just like one of those things, right? So let me ask you this question, man. You're passionate about being an insurance broker. What led you into it?
Yeah. So right out of college, I was a personal banker. I was in banking for 7 years.
Right.
Right. And my whole dream I always wanted to be a business owner, and I loved banking. I loved being a banker. But I wanted to work for myself. And opening a bank, you need a lot more money. Right. Right. So, I'm like, but what insurance agents are doing, the consultation, helping people, make those financial decisions, helping them build wealth, it's just so exciting. With being in the real estate world, you meet so many interesting people.
Right.
Every day is interesting.
Right.
Every day,
Yeah,
it
we
is
met.
so rewarding. Exactly.
Right,
You
right,
meet
right.
so many interesting people.
Right.
I love doing it. I love, helping give people good advice as best as we can. It is truly rewarding, and watching people grow, seeing people build success, build wealth, just a really, however I can help somebody, it's really what it's about.
I love it, man. I
Thanks.
love it. So,
Thanks, Jimmy.
given everything that you've seen, what do you see the future of insurance?
Yeah. So I think that as long as people start including the insurance professional earlier on, kind of the advice that I mentioned about the 2.0 buyer's market,
right.
everything's going to be just fine. It's going to be great. Insurance is still alive and well. There, the people who don't put any thought into insurance,
Right.
they're going to see challenges, right?
Right.
And it's just like anything else. You got to do your homework,
Right.
but answers are there, and you got to just put some mind onto your insurance. Encourage, even if you don't work with me, work closely with whoever your insurance professionals are.
Yeah.
Ask the questions. But if you're not asking the questions, you're going to find yourself in pitfalls. You're going to find yourself in challenges. but there's so many things there to help mitigate
Right.
against that,
Mhm.
you know? And rates have creeped up a little bit, but still extremely affordable.
Right.
Extremely affordable.
Considering how much they're
rates.
covering. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I do see an adjustment more on the seller side where, hey, but going back to that new construction point, man, a new construction that's even larger than a home that needs repairs, sometimes it's thousands of dollars in difference a year on just they're making their money back just from that alone.
Okay. This episode is brought to you by Pamela Lee from Elite Title Group, representing all real estate transactions in the state of New Jersey.
How much less expensive or how much more affordable property insurance on a new construction home is
Right.
versus a home that might even be smaller,
Right.
right? But hey, it needs new plumbing, it needs a new roof. The claims are just around the corner,
Right.
right? But when it's a new construction, I've seen dramatically lower cost, right? And the home buyers may not notice that or realize that. So how much money you'll be saving just on the insurance side, right? So much that's part of it also. It's like
Right.
the buyers may not be seeing that. They might not be realizing that, but hey, in 10, 15 years, you might have saved tens of thousands of dollars, not to mention no possibility of no claims.
Right.
So it's just about being a savvy
Right.
buyer, right? Ask the questions, reach out to me, happy to help. It could kind of help, guide you along that way. But,
Speaking of reaching out, where can I find you?
all right. So Instagram,
Right.
insurance in your best interest.
Okay.
I work out of the Lifestyle Rahway office. You can find me there also.
Okay.
And I know you usually ask two places to eat.
Yeah.
right?
Here you go. You know I got this happen today. What's your favorite two restaurants?
Yeah.
man?
So I'm gonna. I used to work for a pizzeria.
Okay.
It's in Boonton.
Okay.
If you don't know if you've never heard of Boonton, amazing city of abolitionists. The Underground Railroad comes in.
Okay.
Harriet Tubman walked the same roads as me on my
In
walk
Boonton,
home.
New Jersey.
Booton, New Jersey.
Okay, did not know
amazing
that.
town. A pizzeria called Baco's Pizza.
Okay.
Amazing guy. His name is Baki.
Okay.
He's been in town pretty much his whole life. A pizzeria there. The guy had, how they say, it takes a village to raise a child. This guy has raised the village.
Okay. That's what's
Definitely go check him out. Amazing specialty pies. Gyro's amazing. And the second place I want to say is the place right next door to our office in Rahway. Holy Cow.
I never had it. No.
Nah?
And I've been to Rahway a couple of times.
Oh yeah, it was right next door. It opens 7 days a week. It's a gelato shop.
Okay.
Opens at 8 a.m.
Oh,
Closes
wow.
at 11. They work hard. Good quality stuff. Come on over, get your gelato. We'll talk about insurance. We
Yeah.
can help you with real estate too.
Yeah, here you go.
Hey, yeah.
Let's talk about it, right? I love it, man. Man, look, Ashan, thank you for coming.
Thank you
Let's
for
Talk.
having me,
Right,
Jimmy.
man. Good stuff.
You've had a lot of interesting people. I'm excited to see what their future looks like. And this guy works hard. Give him a like, give him a share, throw him comments in there.
Thank you, man.
Extremely hardworking guy. If you don't know him, you want to reach out to him.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate these flowers up front, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, so look, we talked about 2026 homeowners insurance. We talked about how important insurance is. And this is what Ashan was here to do, to educate you on that. And sometimes, it can get a little technical, but I feel like you need to know that part so you can say there's no excuses. I didn't know this. And if you still did not get everything you need to contact Ashan when it comes to insurance needs, right?
Thank you.
Again, thank you guys for coming on. Let's talk about it. Again, your favorite mortgage lender. You can find me on all your favorite streaming platforms. Thank you for coming on. Let's talk about it.
Thank you, Jimmy.
My man.
Appreciate it.
If you're looking for ISAs and marketing, please contact J. Lopez Enterprise, servicing all 50 states. Hey, listeners, are you looking to improve your home comfort and save on your energy bills? Let's talk about Seal Power. They've been awarded Energy Star Sustained Excellence Award, seen on Good Morning America, the New York Times, and World News. Seal Power is dedicated to keeping your home cozy while saving money. Check out their website for tips and incentives and more at CIELPOWER.com. Stay comfortable and save with Seal Power, where comfort meets efficiency. Follow them on Instagram for updates and more, and let's talk about it as well. Thank you.